Hi, welcome to yet another session. After a long journey of familiarization and fundamentals, we reached the core parts of the Python. Those are the core data types, one of which is strings. This is extensively used in Python coding. So, similar to our spoken language, we should have some class or object to represent a text based information. Yes or no? Yes, that is our string class or object. You don't need to confuse why I am using class or object because fundamentally string is a class when you use a string expressions. For example, x is equals to or name is equals to in double quotation Hare Krishna, then this has become a name string object. So that's why I am here I am using class or object. That's the reason, because string fundamentally is a class. When you use this class, you can generate a string object. Okay, so now the textbook definition goes like this. String is an ordered collection of characters used to store and represent text based information. That's it. So now what we explore about the strings is its features. So different features we will explore. Strings are categorized as immutable sequences. We will discuss going ahead what is mutable and what is immutable and what all types comes under mutable, what all types comes under immutable. We'll discuss everything. You don't need to worry. Just chillax and relax and follow the session. Next, uh, the literal expression to generate a string object is wrapping a set of characters inside a single or double quotes. This expression actually generates a string object. Python also has a triple quoted string literal format, sometimes called it as a block string. Note down block string. Note this point. So now the block string is used to write multi-line text data. Next, the escape and most helpful and useful string type is raw string. Raw string, which has a capability to suppress the escapes. Then what is escape sequence? You should know that. So escape sequence, so that what is escape sequence? That should be your doubt now. So escape sequence is let us embed byte codes in strings that cannot easily be typed on a keyboard. For example, so normally the character backward slash and one or more characters following it in the string literal are replaced with a single character in the resulting string object, which has the binary value specified by the escape sequence. So now let us look into various escape sequences that we frequently use. So on left column, it's escape sequence or escape type, and on right column, it's a meaning. When you use a single backslash, what does it mean is it doesn't change anything. The line will be continued. So or simply we use it to ignore something. And if you use a double backslash inside a string, is typed inside a string which is wrapped inside the single quote or double quote. When executed, it stores one slash inside the string object. Next, the word which is wrapped inside the backslash followed by a single quote inside a string which is wrapped inside a single quote or double quote. When executed, it stores that word in a single quote inside the string. You don't need to worry. So we'll just code it in a Jupyter notebook and we'll explore what it is. But for now, you try to understand the escape sequence and then purpose of that escape sequence. Consequently, we will do everything. So okay. Next, if you use a double quote, it stores double quote it stores a double quotation inside your string object. Now backslash followed by b will leave backspace, will give backspace in a respective place, and backslash followed by n will make a new line, at a respective location, and backslash r will give you a carrier. If you have a sentence out of which if it has a two words inside a string, it will give the carrier one and it will return that. And if you use backslash tab backslash t, that gives you that will make a tab space in the respective location. And if it is a v, backslash v will get a vertical tab. So now what we'll do is we will just code these whatever things that we learned so far. We'll code and we'll understand better. Now just follow me here. Okay. So now the first, of course, we have seen almost 5 to 6 times how do you use a literal to generate a object. So here S is equals to, I used double quotation and I wrapped Hare Krishna inside it. So then because of this literal, what I will get is a string object. So this is what I got. Hare Krishna is a string object. Now the second example we'll look is, if you want a multi-line string or block string, we use this. For example, devotees chant Hare Krishna mantra. So for if you want to print, if you want to use that string, if you wrap the whole Hare Krishna mantra in a single quotation, then obviously what you won't get in a multi-line. So that's the reason we use a block string or triple quotation string, and you wrap this Hare Krishna mantra inside that string, and finally what we get is, when you print, what you get is this multi-lined string object. Then so next thing we will look into is raw strings, our raw strings. So for example, you have some file path. So you just want to use this file path. You just want to save this file path. You just want to give this file path a reference using a variable name called file path. So, but if you directly wrap this directory location inside a single quotation, what you get is error. And what is that error? It is syntax error, and it is saying Unicode error, Unicode's escape. Codec can't decode bytes in position on 2 to 3. So it's talking about this backward slash. That's truncated. So it's talking about this backward slash. So from this, what you what you got is what you understood is you cannot directly use forward slash or backward slash is inside a string. For that, if you want to use these directories and if you want to reference it to a specific variable, so what you can do is we'll use a raw strings. So here you can see file path. What I did is the raw string the literal or expression for the raw string is by and large same. Only you have to add a r ahead of that directory. So when I did this, so this is what we got. This is how the Python interpreter understands. This is how it understands, but that doesn't matter for us. The purpose of raw string and the utility of that is very important. So this is how well we can use this. So now what we have is escape sequences. So in previous example, we have seen that when you use escape sequences, we are facing some issues. We are facing some errors. It's throwing error. It's throwing syntax error. So that's the reason. So we have some method to incorporate certain characters inside our string. For example, let's take this example. This is one complete paragraph. It is all about the Hare Krishna mantra. What does this mean and how it is used? Okay. So now when I write to, it has a, for example, it has a single quotation inside it. It has a double quotation inside it. It has uh, uh, so many other things, and it's a complete paragraph. Let's see what do you get when you want to execute it. So what we got is an invalid syntax error because you have single quotations and double quotes, single quotes and double quotes inside a string. So that's the reason we got this, and that's what it's saying. So now what we will do is in order to incorporate these single quotes or double quotes, or uh, if you want a multi-line, if you want a tab space, if you want vertical space or something like that, you need to incorporate some escape sequences. So now what I did is I have take this paragraph and I have referenced it to para name. That's our variable. And now first the Hare Krishna mantra remains same, but here I have added one escape sequence, that is backward slash followed by n. This is basically for new, and after that I have added backward slash followed by t. This is basically to get a tab space. So now again also refer to the river. This is as usual normal. Then after that I want Maha Mantra in single quotation. That is the reason I have added a backward slash followed by single quote, and I wrapped it this Maha Mantra inside this backward slash followed by single quote. Similarly, I want great mantra inside the double quotation. So for that, I have wrapped that great mantra inside the backward slash followed by the double quote. So this is how I have changed it, and I want some vertical space, and then again I used it for new line, then again vertical space and the new line, and here tab space I used and new line, and then so finally let's execute and see. This is how we got the Hare Krishna mantra, and after that I got a vertical line. We'll shift it into the new line, and we also had a tab space here. See, this is our tab space. Similarly, we have one tab space, and here in between I have spaces, and I have added, and each line I shifted it into a new line. So that's how we use our escape sequences. So in this practical session, we have coded our the fundamentals of strings, and how do we generate a string object, and how do we use escape sequences. So with this we'll move forward to the another topic that's related to the strings. What I call it is strings in action. So what we learn here is, so now enough of discussing about the qualities of the strings, qualities of the string. Now we will directly enter into action sequences of this movie, this strings movie. So now the following are the maximum operations that we can do with the strings. The first one, you just follow whatever I'm teaching, because see, so initially I talked about the fundamentals of the strings, and after that I am grouping out, or I am putting all elements together in a one slide, so that, so these are all activities that we can do with the strings. So the first one is basic operations. So basic operations are done using inbuilt len function, len function, and we call it, and we can do concatenation using plus operator, and repeating or repetition using asterisk operator. So now you may get the doubt that see, plus we have used in ints, that numeric data types, for the addition, but now you are saying it here we can use it for the concatenation. Similarly, asterisk, we have used it for the multiplication, but you are saying here it is for the repetition. What the hell is, why? So this is what we call it as a polymorphism in Python. So what kind of objects you provide means the operator is just a medium to do some activity, but the type of result depends upon the type of object you have provided. That's it. If you provide a int object, what you get is a addition. If you provide a string object, what you get is a concatenation. So that this concept is called polymorphism. That's fine. So these are the basic operation: length, concatenation, and then a repetition. The second one is typecasting, and the second one is so what do we see is the other one, the most important one is the typecasting. So typecasting is used to convert the int or float to string, or the other way around. For that, I will simply use int function. So int function. Then what we see is character code conversions. So these are used to convert numbers into characters, or the other way around. Basically, we'll look into this while we are practically coding it. You don't need to worry for now. And the next thing is string formatting. It is string formatting is native behavior. I call it a native behavior because till now what we have seen is basic operations and typecasting. That's a and character code conversions. These are normal. It would be applicable to others also. Whereas string formatting is basically belongs to only strings. This is very widely used in our Python. So then what we have is the most important one, that's indexing. So now we are entering into the most useful and most thoughtful operations on strings, that is indexing and slicing. Indexing we follow here is the offset indexing, which means the index of your first character in your string is 0, not 1. Okay. Now, so in indexing, how do we do indexing? Indexing is, if you say s of I, it fetches components at offsets. And one more thing that belongs to this category is slicing is s of I through j. So this actually what actually does is it extracts contiguous sections of that sequence. And finally, most personal and native actions or behavior of strings. So the following are all specific to string type only. These are all called as methods. So basically, see, if you have watched my beginning videos in modules in object, so there I have told you an object is anything which has a state and action. That's what we call an object. That means attribute and then method. So string is also an object. Obviously it will have an attributes and also it will have some methods. So those are all these methods. These are all specific to string only. That's the reason these are called string type specific methods. One is capitalize, other one is center, count, ends with expand tabs, find, format, index, and is al number. If you remember in our previous video in expression operators, we have discussed this s dot attribute expression. So what does it do? It actually connects your method with certain object or certain module. So that same expression we are using. So that's why I'm saying you just understand the basics well so that it would be a free flow. Okay. So now what we will do is we will code all these methods and whatever we have learned so far in this slide, we will just do coding in Jupyter Notebook. So we'll begin with the basic operations as usual. So for example, in basic operation, we will take S1, the S1 variable as array. So what is we just want to know length of that variable, how many characters it has. For that, what we will do is we will use length basic function. That's our basic inbuilt function. We'll use that. And we have already discussed that to call something we'll use parenthesis operator. In expression operators we have discussed to call something we will use parenthesis operator. So this is the length is inbuilt function. We use we'll use parenthesis to call something, and inside we'll put an argument. So this is how we get the length of the string. And then the next thing we will look is this is concatenation. We will look into the concatenation. For S1 is Hare and S2 is Krishna. So we just want to concatenate both the strings so that we can get the Hare Krishna word. And we will reference this concatenation to the S name or S variable. So I'll just execute this, then execute this, and what we got is Hare Krishna. So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking. And the next thing we will have is a repetition. So now basically the devotees and in abroad like US, UK and everywhere they follow this 108 times because there is a specific reason for that. The distance, the radius of earth, the radius of the sun and moon, these are all 108 times of earth. So that's the reason we use this 108. There is a scientific reason but that's not we are discussing here. So that's the reason. So we devotees normally chant this 108 times. So that's why even I just want to do the chant here. So it is for that I use this repetition. You just execute it. So we got the 108 times of so that's done. Then the second one we'll look into is typecasting. Basic operations is done. Then we will another type of action that we do on string is typecasting. So for typecasting we will take this example. Let's try to create a password with alphabets and numerals. So here what we'll do, x is equals to 14333, we'll take this one. This is an int object, and second one will take s is equals to, obviously we are putting, we are wrapping up this adfjjfj inside a single quotation, so this is a string. So now when I, if I want to concatenate these int and string, it is impossible to do. So that's the reason what I did, I typecasted this int object. So s is a string object plus our operator, expression operator, and here what I did is I typecasted our int object, and finally what I got is password, and the type of this password is a string. Now character code conversions, the other type of action. So we'll take 5 and I use this char. I have told you parenthesis, we use one purpose of parenthesis is to call some inbuilt function. Chr is our inbuilt function, and odd is in another inbuilt function. When I use this, I can actually do some calculation. Next, here the second thing is, I just want to convert. So here I just want to give some input numeral, so that's why I made it int, and I just want to convert that numeral into some character. Let's see example. I'll give 43, it's a plus, and then 56, it is 8, and sorry, 89, it is y, fantastic. 99, it is C, brilliant. And one more, 143, let's see what it is. It's a question mark, it is 123, it is a bracket. So this is how you do character conversion. Okay, fine. So now we will enter into the string formatting. So this is very important and very widely used. So I urge you to practice a lot of times, because it will be very useful in future. That's the reason I'm telling. So here what we will do is the same problem, whatever we have done above. So we'll do some string formatting so that it is actually readable for the user. See, at the end of the day, user is not a coder. User is not a programmer. So obviously, whatever you provide as output to him, it should be a readable thing. It should be, the user interface should be very good, and user experience should be very nice. Then only there is a benefit of doing this programming. So everything remains same. I just changed the format using this. For that, what you have to do is write the string, whatever you want to print, and then wherever you want to include the variable, you use this curly braces inside it. And I used the escape sequences also to get the multi-line, and then tab spaces, and finally to connect those variables, to connect these variables with this brackets, curly braces, we use this format method, and then include those characters, include those variables inside that. So let's execute and see. So basically I have to restart. Okay, fine. So let's enter 78. Let's see. For the numeral 78n, so this is the character we get. So that's how we use string formatting. And finally, it's not finally, there is one more, but indexing and slicing. This is very useful. This is very useful. Means basically for the scripting, and then web scripting, basically web scraping. So for these applications, for web scraping, we'll use it widely. So that's the reason you should practice as much as possible for indexing and slicing. You just practice it as much as possible. You should master it. You should be very thorough in it. So S, I think, let's check. I did not give name. S is not defined. Let me check on top. Yes, name. Yes, it is there, but after that it's changed. Okay, let me. Okay, okay, okay. Now we got S. Now we just want to do some indexing first. Okay, indexing. So we have A, D, F, J, J, F, J. Here, this is our string. So I have already told you this is offset. We'll do it offset. Basically, if it is a normal way, we will count this A as a first indexing place, second and D second indexing place, F is third indexing place, J is fourth, and then J fifth. But here, if it is it's offset, as it is offset, 0 is the first indexing place, means A is in 0th position, then D is in 1th position, then F is in second position. So this is our offset indexing. Now we will index each item. So for example, if you want to index A as it is offset, we have to use 0. We have to use a square bracket. This is the expression. This is the expression I have discussed in that expression operators. This is the expression for indexing. So how do you read it? We read it as of 0. 0 is the indexing place. So I use 0 indexing place, then what I got is A. If I say 4, 4 means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I should get J. Let's see what we get. Yes, obviously we got 0. This is how we do forward indexing. So now we will do reverse indexing. So reverse indexing, same. I'll just go up and we'll see. This is forward indexing. This is reverse indexing. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7. That's how reverse indexing work. When I say -1, I'm supposed to get the last one. -3, it's again J from other side, because -1, -2, -3. Obviously, you'll get J again. Okay. So this is how our indexing works. Now we will look into the slicing. Slicing is of getting a piece from pizza. That's it. You have a pizza, you just make one slice and eat it. So that's the slice. That's how we do slicing. Here also we have sequences. List is a sequence, for example, or string is a sequence. In that we want to get some slice out of it, not just a single character. We want a slice, a section of it. So how do we read it? We have discussed this expression in our expression operator session. And how do we read this? It is S of 1 through 3. This is how we read it. So when I execute it, I got DF. Now when I use this one, S of 1 through, that's it, an empty space. By default, it takes the last space, so last position. So that's the reason from 1 we'll get till end of that string. When I say 0, that the initial position, 0 is the first letter, and when I say -1, this is negative indexing, this is the last one. So basically we'll get the complete string. And here when I say -1 until end means this is the last because when we see forward indexing, the slicing is done only in forward direction, means in forward direction. So that's the reason it will take the last position. So what we get is a single element chain. When you put first place and then step, then between what we mention is step and then last place. So we got this. It stepped through every second item, but we got the overall AFJJ. So this is all about the indexing and slicing. So now what we will discuss is the string specific methods. These are all native to the string object only. These are also known as type specific methods of string. First we'll begin with the capitalize. What does the capitalize do? So capitalize return a capitalized version of the string. So for example, I used S only. S is completely small, lowercase. So now we'll execute. So what we got is a capitalized version of it. And center is the another method we are using. So padding is done using the specified fill characters. If you don't use any character here, so by default it takes a space. So I took S, the same string ADFJJFJ, and center I use this method, and then how many characters I want, 54 characters, and then type of character I used is asterisk. Let's see. So this is how it, the string is at the center and on both sides we got this much of characters. And then count, basically count return the number of non overlapping occurrences of substring. So sub string. So basically this is how we write. Basically we can use optional arguments. Start and end are interpreted as in slice notation. So for example, in AFJJJ, ADFJJJFJ, I want to know how many times S is J is counted. Let's check 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Nice. So then ends with, what we'll look into is ends with. Ends with the returns true if S ends with the specified suffix. False otherwise with optional start again. So we have an optional start and then optional end, and suffix can also be tuple of strings to rise. So optional start and optional end means by default it will have a certain value. If you don't use it, by default it will give you. So what I included is I included a tuple which is a sequence, and then optional start and optional end. I did not use it. Let's see what we get it. It's a false. What I checked is I just checked whether our S string, that ADFJJJ, ends with any of these letters A or B or C. Obviously it doesn't end with any of this, so that's the reason we got false. And here I used optional start and optional so what I did is here, so from position 3 till position 8 you just check this piece of slice, if this slice ends with any of this. It doesn't. Next what we are using is expand tabs. This is very useful, very helpful. So what it does is it return a copy where all tab characters are expanded using spaces. So if tab size is not given, a tab size of 8 characters is assumed by default. That's by default. So now I take HK variable, and then see here I put tab 1, tab, these are the escape sequences. Basically normal default tab space, if I don't use this one, this 24, by default it takes 8. So but what I did is I put 24. Now you see, so this is the tab space. Now tab space is gone, 24 spaces, 24 spaces. So that's how it will be helpful. Now and index we know. So indexing we have seen, for indexing what we do is we use position and we get the character from it. But here what we'll do is we will in index method we will use a character to get the index position of that character. So s dot index, and I want the position of j, we'll get the first position, returns the lowest index in s where substring sub is found. That's a 3. And the other method is return true if the string is an alphanumeric string, false otherwise. So s we have only alphabets. Let's check. um it has alpha and then it's alphabets. That's the reason we got this. Now return true if the string is an alphabetic, false otherwise. Let's check. So it has only alpha, so we got true. Now let's check. Return true if the string is decimal, false otherwise. See, I have taken this I inside having inside the single quotation, uh, I wrapped 234343, a decimal string. Let's check. So it is true. That's how it's useful. Basically these are all boolean types, huh? True false are boolean types. So next is digit. Return true if the string is a digit string, false otherwise. And return next lower method. Return a copy of the string converted to lowercase. S is basically we are converted into uppercase. Now it is converted back to the lowercase. And what we'll look into is R split. This is very useful, very helpful in web scraping. So here it returns a list of words in the string using sup as the delimiter of the string. If you can actually include your type of separator, or by default it takes a single space as the separator. So here I used the Hare Krishna mantra again as a paragraph, and I used R split method to separate into each word. Let's see. So now this whole string, a big string, has been split into different strings, or we can say it as a different words, so that we can use it for some analysis purpose. So now the other one is strip. R strip, L strip and strip. So it returns a copy of the string with the trailing white space removed. So here this is my string. It has 3 asterisks ahead and trailing and leading. So it has a 3 asterisks. So now when I say R strip, it strips the right side characters. Okay, let's check. See, here the characters are stripped. When I say L strip, it strips left side characters. See here. When I say strip, it strips all sides. So that's how These methods, these type specific methods are very, very useful when it comes to the web scraping. Please do practice again and again, and you just need to master it so that you can actually do web scraping very well. Just keep watching and keep enjoying the sessions, and keep subscribing it, keep liking it, and keep spreading the word. Thanks, and thanks again. See you again.